Working and talking at the same time. Who'd have thought it? Well, here we are, back once again. Unite Live, Unite Hair TV. Here we are, coming from the nuclear bomb shelter of Unite Towers. Sunny California. Guess what, people? It is Oscars time. Lights, music, action, slaps, all controversial. We won't go there. Just welcome to another one. One of my favourites, definitely. Doing a little bit of Oscar themed stroke Grammys, because they were last night, so important we put those in. Red carpet hair, you know, but it's Oscar themed. And we have got, I've got three looks I'm going for to create. So basically, well, you can see one going on here at the moment. This is actually done in conjunction with the stylist using Unite at the Oscars. Fantastic. Rita Ora, the wonderful Rita Ora. Let's bring this up to camera. There we go. Rita Ora, fantastic. Classic Hollywood with a little bit of a difference. I'll be explaining details on that one. Then my favourite look, and this is purely my personal favourite from the Oscars, purely because I like the hair type, and yeah, I just think she's great anyway. Lupita, textures, all in there, phenomenal, fantastic. I'm going to show you how you create that. Very simple, it's not that hard. Please don't say that to the stylist who created it. But there's some interesting details that might just go amiss if you don't pick up on those. So we'll be looking at those. And also a little bonus, I got this from the Harper's Bazaar Vanity Fair after party. And it's very much, you know, we've done this at Fashion Week before, and it's taken from there. And it's just really, it was a case about showcasing wet look. I mean, this is not the soaking wet look, and I'm going to show you how to create that with just a little bit of hairspray. It's really, really simple. Just shows you how versatile our hairspray is. So those are three looks we're going for. That was my bonus look. We're just going to keep going and going today. We don't care. Time is of no interest then. Time is of irrelevance to us here. We're going to spread joy and hair happiness to the world on Unite Hair TV. Please chime in wherever you are. Any questions you've got, as per usual. We will endeavour to answer any of those. Once again, Magic Mike and his fantastic thumb. There he is. He's here. I've got the wonderful Abby back behind camera number 2, telling me that I'm either running over time or to shut up. And our wonderful dog Boone. Hopefully he'll make an appearance. But today he's right in the back having a little sleep. So without further ado, let's get on with the Rita Ora. What am I doing? Talking and working at the same time. Who'd have thought? So I'm just going to spin it round. So I'm just doing a conventional roller set on this, but I'm going to be using tools that I may not necessarily always use backstage, purely because I want to make it relevant to, you know, hairdressers that are working now behind the chair, maybe some of the tools they have got. So for ease of purpose, I've just decided today to use a curling wand as opposed to a curling iron, just to make it more simple for people and not quite as scary. And showing how we take, you know, we've prepped the hair on this, blow dried it in, booster spray. But we're going to take this blow dry into that classic Hollywood look, and we're going to look at the differences that you need to create that. So you put volume in the hair using the booster shampoo conditioner, 7 seconds, then we hit it with booster volumizing spray, not the cream, the volumizing spray. Blast that through. My tip is rough dry that through into the hair first. Hair's still slightly damp. Reapply some more just to really give it some great guts and foundation, and then you blow dry quickly with a brush. Doesn't have to be perfect though, because you see through here we have texture in the hair. The iron is going to smooth all that out. So little interesting details. If you wanted to replicate this 100%, you want to look at maybe where the curl is, where that is situated, where it is smoother, and you can relate that to actually how you curl the hair to make it easier when you curl it out. Because obviously if you've done a very, very tight curl all the way down to the root base, yes, it gives you volume per se, but you might have trouble then brushing it out because it's going to be too wavy on top. So you could, consequently, then add a little bit of root drag when you're ironing the hair, so you know that is going to be smoother, and then you have more curl in the ends of the hair. So that's one of the tips, that's for picking up detail. So I'm going to show you how we move this around, create this one very, very quickly, and then I'm just going to put a little bonus look on a variation in there when we've finished. So without further ado, I'm going to carry on working. Anyone tuning in, any questions, Mike is going to keep updating me. Any hellos, let me know where you are. Very, very important.
We did get a hey everyone from Joseph at Unite Hair.
From where, who?
Joseph.
Joseph?
Yeah, he's not Unite Hair.
Oh, well, up in Canada.
Must be.
Yeah. Canada, eh? Getting out and about up there, Joseph. Out and about. No, that's what they do up there in Canada, eh? That's good to hear from him. Is it still covered in snow up there, or are you getting a little bit of spring at last? And hopefully he's getting some spring. So we'll section off a little bit of that front. I'm here working on the back. Now, just keeping it simple. Nothing too complicated. I always think sometimes if you overcomplicate it in your prep, etc., you can sort of come amiss. But what am I using on the hair at the moment? So as my setting spray, I'm using Max Control. It's a fantastic setting spray to be used in conjunction with an iron. So we dust that through the hair just lightly. Et voila! Look at that, a little bit of a show. Always do a little bit of showmanship behind the chair, because it adds a little bit of flamboyance for the client, and they're just thinking, wow, the guy is like a magician. So carry on doing some of that. We always like a little swirl with a hairspray. Nice little section. The section relates into depth-wise pretty much like the width of the iron that I'm using. Doesn't ever go more. If you go less, you have more of a curly result on the ends. So I chose to do the wand just to show a slight difference in that, is that the hair is moved along the barrel, and that way you get a nice even heat distribution, and I've given it a little bit of root drag. Just goes in, just a few, what's that, 15 seconds maybe of heat, if that. It is not all the way up as well, heat wise on this. I don't need to scald the hair, but we've got the heat protection with our product line anyway. So consequently, because we move the hair all the way along, I'm right-handed, let me show you different on the camera. The ends of the hair, I tuck those inside the curl. If I can pin it correctly, it would be great. And what that does is, as it cools down, all of that and then is then cooling down inside the curl. It's not left on the exterior. So that's something that relates more to when you're using a traditional iron. So keeping all that heat inside the curl, very important. And we're not being too, overly worried about, the sections and being dead straight, purely because you don't want to get iron marks in the hair when you brush it out. If they are slightly irregular, sometimes that can be more of a preference. Because we are taking the hair back to, classic Hollywood, back to that look of what did it look like when it was set with setting rollers and under a dryer for a few hours. That's how it used to be done. So you want to create that look, but we give it a modern vibe. All of this, consequently, you can see on our curly episodes on Unite Hair TV. Go to unitehair.com and you can source it all on there. There's over 20 on there now, isn't there, Mike?
Different looks?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've did 20 different looks using curling irons and many other different implements to curl hair, if no one's aware of this. In all different guises, and I've used the same model, obviously the same head of hair, same model, and done that on all those looks on, for one reason really, just to show you versatility. But I just thought it was you get a greater variation of understanding the tools purely by using it on the same head of hair to create all those different looks. And one thing you have to relate to as well, which I think is very important, when we're trying to recreate these like looks of 30s, 40s, 50s, or etc., we're doing them on modern haircuts, and they lay differently to what the haircuts in back in the day were. So that's one thing we have to take into consideration. So with this, the hair has been pre-cut, and it's been pre-cut with a razor, so it's given the hair more of a feathered end, pretty much like a point cut head of hair you would have today to deal with. Or if hair has not been cut regularly, classic model or a superstar or whatever, they're not getting their hair done religiously every 4 to 6 weeks, your ends are not going to be dead straight. So how do we deal with those? So sometimes using the iron and the wand, making sure we really get all the ends all the way through, counteracts that. And our prep as well, using the booster spray, blow drying with a brush, we've got all the ends tucked under, so that takes away some of that unnecessary frizz. You might finish at the end. Straight ends, which we don't want for this look. So this is where this varies, obviously from traditional ways people have been using the iron for the last few years. You know, obviously doing beach waves, etc. We've been leaving the ends out for straighter ends. We've got to go now back into making sure all the ends are curled in. Younger hairdressers will sometimes struggle with that a little bit. They will go to the ends of the hair and wind that up first, and then go down to your root base, and then consequently what happens is your hairstyle drops because you're not getting any adequate heat in your root base. You've got to start in the root base and work the hair into the iron. Once again, go to the Curl It series, you'll see it all on there.
Each episode of that Curl It series has at least 3 different
There's 3 different looks as well, isn't it? Yeah. There you go, you get 3 for 1. Thanks, Mike, for remembering to point that one out. You get a 3 for 1. So it's not just one hairstyle. Yes, you've got to listen to me droning on for 3 hairstyles, but you know, maybe a stiff drink beforehand and you'll be fine, you'll be good to go.
It goes quick.
So one thing I'd like to say about the Oscars and the Grammys that I noticed was that I thought everything was very subdued. The looks were very subdued compared to the past, especially hair, etc. And I do think it goes hand in hand a lot with fashion, etc. That I think it's, you know, the current environment in the world and things that are going on, we all know what that is. Things get toned down accordingly. People don't want to be too flamboyant to mirror image and do it, even if they do it subconsciously. So that was just one thing to take in. There really wasn't any real huge standout, you know, Lady Gaga moments, whatever, of real showstoppers. Billie Eilish, her hair's very, very toned down at the moment, isn't it? She's gone all like one colour, very dark all over. Matched her outfits, especially last night's one, all in black. So there you go. So that was something to sort of like take into consideration. So that's where the choice for these hairstyles came from for today, because I want to show a nice cross section. We've got something classic, we're then moving into the sort of like the hair up with the texture. We're moving into something in a different, slightly different world with that, with hair extensions. And then we've got some wet look, which is, you know, it is important to want to do that, because you are obviously, you're not going to get that every day, but every once in a while that client's going to come in and going to ask for it. And you need to have something in your locker where you just have a go-to and you just know how to create it. Just having that 1 or 2 hairstyles that you know how to do, very, very simple. And that's where our products sit beautifully with that, is the amount of variety of stuff we can create.
We got a shout out to Hey Unite Hair TV from Heinerman Hair. I believe his name is Michael. He's an avid viewer of our lives.
Absolutely. Good to see you on here again, Mike. Thank you. I don't know if he's interested. He might be interested, but I keep letting people know. I think the post is coming out this week, and we mentioned Miami. There's a yes. Is it coming out this week or next week? I thought it was Wednesday.
One of these days.
Soon. We're doing a little post, people, for interest in Miami Swim Week. I'm going to send one out on my account anyway. I think it's going to get oversubscribed because a lot of people have been asking me. We are back. Obviously, we now, the lockdowns have all rescinded over here, hopefully, fingers crossed. Miami Swim Week in July, from the 12th onwards, do the class on the 12th. The swim week is afterwards. Yeah, we're going to be there. So we're going to do a little post if you are interested, where you can register that interest, and then the email will go out after that with how you can sign up, etc. I think it's a big one. It'd be great to be back there. It's going to be hot. We're going to be running around in our speedos, me and Mike, doing all our work. It's not a pretty sight, but you know, Miami, baby. So we've got to dress accordingly. That and maybe a nice floral shirt complement the look.
Michael says he's interested in swim week.
Whee, there you go. More than interested, you're going to sign up. That's what I'm going to want to hear. And then straight after that, in August, we'll be doing a class here for Fashion Week, and then another one back in New York itself directly before Fashion Week starts. And then we're over to Europe after that as well. We'll be doing Fashion Week back in Europe in September. So lots going on. Once the summer's out of the way, it's an exciting time of the year. So I look forward to seeing everyone there who's going to come. It's very exciting to actually get back to be doing all of that. It does feel, it's been very stop and start. I know we did Fashion Week last September. That was hard going, and it was sort of a bit hit and miss, the season's gone. But I just think it really will come back full force on this one. So we're changing direction. We've done the back, we've done the sides, we're changing direction now. We're going to roll this one straight back so we get the kick over of that direction. I'm going to do a slight 45-degree perpendicular to the parting on that actually. So I could carry on rolling it horizontally, but if I'm going to pop it over, I'll do, so that's my parting is through here. And that's just a little tip for you as well. Where is that parting? Splits the eye in half, always a good place to put it. So if the parting is here, I split it 45-degree angle there. That's something my mother showed me from years back when she was doing hair. I used to ask her questions why she was putting the rollers in like she did. She probably found it very annoying.
Michael says, sign me up, put my name on the list. There's his email address.
Michael, just look out for our posts on our social media and mine as well, and it will be coming out. But it's good to know you're in.
Stacy's also chiming in with the email to send your class requests to get you guys signed up, and that's both for Miami Swim Week and New York Fashion Week.
Class requests at unitehair.com.
That is correct.
Class requests, unitehair.com. There you go. We know we're going to get a proliferation of people doing that. It's going to go. We're going to be back full force. It's a love-hate relationship, isn't it, Mike?
The Swim Week's a great show, in my opinion. The energy is so different from New York, and it's a lot more fun on the runway. And
I mean, a lot more fun.
the models, in my opinion, dance around a little bit more and have a little bit more.
Oh, they're not so fashionable.
Exactly.
They're not
Yeah.
that.
Yep. So it's a different vibe. I think it's more playful.
You just like girls in bikinis. That's
Oh,
really what it's generating around to. We're nearly there, nearly there. So you see, the iron comes into the root base, and making sure the hair is flat when it's wound around the iron. Very important. Don't twist it. You get a different look when you twist it. So if you do a twist flat wrap style, you get a different look to the curl. The pin is placed in at where the ends of the hair are, very important, keep that in there. And judge with your hands as well, sometimes how much hair you've got in there. And if you think it's a little bit thick, like this mannequin head is a little thick in the front, I'll quite happily divide that down, knock that down into two elements. It's not a problem. You want to make sure your heat distribution is even all the way through your sections. If you don't, if you do a large section, consequently your heat distribution changes and you can end up with a softer root base, curlier ends, vice versa, depending on your wind technique. So understanding all of that is always really important because sometimes that might be the effect that you need. You want to show maybe photographic work is like a dropped out curl. And it's not, it's not been done intentionally, but just understanding that, very, very important. Any questions so far?
Nothing new.
No one liked the choice of hair we've chosen for our looks? No one was like, ooh, I really want to see that one. That's great. I've done all that research and no one's that excited about the 3 hair looks we chose. Okay, next time I'm just going to do a bald head, see how they like it. I'm actually getting too hot. I'll forget. I'll put this on because it was a bit chilly here in California, and it was a bit chilly, wasn't it, the weekend over here?
Even this morning.
Yeah, not out where I am, but when I came back out to the coast, it was chilly. Put the sweatshirt on now; it's boiling under the lights. So I'm going to have to do a quick clothes removal, people. I'm going to bear with me. I'll do that off camera, just to make sure we don't offend anyone. Not a pretty sight. You don't want to see that this time of the morning. So the front one just gets a little bit more treatment.
Rebecca Hackett, makeup artist. Hey guys. Hi Rebecca.
Question or just a hello?
Just a hello.
Hello Rebecca, where are you based? Always good to know where everyone is. Anyone who's done my runway ready class, I'd be jumping all over this. Like, oh my God, what have you done there? It's not, but this is, you know, it's relatable. Nice, easy, simple. Dusting of hair with a hairspray. We let that cool down. I'm going to cheat, if we could. I'd have a hairdryer, which I have. Hairdryer with cold air. Sweater removal. Oh, there we go. Yeah, better.
So Michael's got a question for you. Would the look be different if using a clamp or a Marcel iron? If so, how?
Clamp?
Probably.
Oh, sorry,
Marcel.
traditional iron.
Yeah.
Marginally. It's how you use it. It's more important. Not really that much. All you're after when we take the pins out is a consistent curl type, which we've pretty much got through here. Nice amounts of bounce, as you can see through that. Good curl retention, even all the way through. We can see like the curl depth doesn't change that much. And it's got a nice big zebedee boing through here like a spring. So that's vitally important. It doesn't change that much, Michael, with a conventional iron. The only difference being is you'll get the ends in easier with a traditional iron. That's all it is, really. More than anything, sometimes you get tighter in the root. But if you use a Marcel or something like that, you have different techniques. But this is a very much what I call a conventional wind. And then you say doing it with a curling wand, I think it just makes it relatable to a lot more hairdressers at this day and age. So here we have great curl retention through here. Very, very, very nice. That is purely the combination of the booster spray, all that booster prep we do at the beginning, and then using Max Control as our setting spray. Just spin around just to make sure we're not cheating through here. Look at that. We'll have a little zoom in, shall we?
Yeah, looks great.
The cameraman Mike says it looks great, so you know he's seen enough of this now from us that he's actually the biggest hair critique. He's worse than Gordon Ramsay. I might get him to do the class in Miami and New York.
Oh, look out. You don't want that. That's when all the bald heads will come out.
It's actually great when you're working with photographers, etc., on shoots. And I think that's a vital thing that we can see is that a lot of them will say, "Oh, that hair looks a bit frizzy, the ends are not done, etc., and stuff like that." Is that really does start polishing your work, because then you find out at the very beginning, you know, where things you might have done better, etc. It's very, very hard to go back and try and improve the hair once it's been brushed out, etc. You generally have to go back in, do a bit of iron work, blow dry work, etc. So we have nicely waved hair. Let's give it a brush, shall we? So combinations, dressing brushes. I've got a boar bristle and nylon, and then I've got of both types, and they've got different characteristics of what they would do with the hair, and you get different combinations of these. And you can also use, very, very useful, our paddle brush as well. But this, you get best results with this when you come in with this vertically and brush the hair down on long hair. It's surprising actually the difference that makes when you use that. So yeah, just personal preference, but you know, we come in and we start brushing the hair through. And we should have a nice amount of bounce. I'll be able to do this on my own hair soon. Come in with a full set. See, you have now got that little bit of soft texture on the ends. It's smoother in the root base. And I can control that. And just by using the tip of the brush, working that through, I can create that looseness that Rita had to her waves, but it's got that dressed part in the root base. So let's keep pulling that down. I'll take the top section out. We come through here and brush this through accordingly first. Remember, if it's your client, ask them to pull against you. Don't let them go with you. It's very important to have that resistancy. And what you're after is, I can really feel the tension in the root base through here when I'm pulling this through. And that's great. That's what I want. I want the hair to bounce back and almost fight me. I'd rather have that than the other way round, when you brush it through and there's nothing there. That's your worst nightmare. And you can see how much brushing I do. I'm quite vigorous with it. And we're getting close to our finish through here. But I'm going to just push this on a little bit. So I could stop. I could add a little bit of back brushing on the top. And you do that from underneath the hair base. Let me just show you why. Because you may have, you know, roller marks, and we might have a little bit of separation through here. So how do we get rid of that? Well, you go into the section and you just tease that accordingly, okay? You just tease that 3, 4, and let that drop back. All right, small amount. You really are doing this. The closer you get to the front, the less aggressive you get with it. It just purely makes the hair sit up a little bit prouder. And by doing it in the underneath, the top section that lays over top stays polished. But you then have greater control over where the hair goes. And that back brushing technique, let's show that, shall we, is that the brush comes into, you don't put it in, just keep running it down. It comes in and it just rolls against it. You see that just a little subtlety in the brush. It comes, it's pointing away from the hair, points with the hair. So away from the root base, down to the root base, and that is enough. And when you get proficient in that, you do it very, very quickly. It becomes super simple, and then you get wonderfully smooth piece on top, but you then have a little kick in your root base, and voila, it's done. And you would just keep brushing that through depending on what finish you require. Say we wanted to become more traditional with this, I will come back in. Taking that section, really brushing that through, really working it. And this is where I would come back in and I would start using my clips. And we're going to use these again in a second anyway. Did have another one. Duckbill clips, very, very important. A little bit of Le Play. And then we start working the hair back much more in a traditional vibe. So let's do a variation on this. This is one of my number one, what I call half up, half down. It's old Hollywood style stroke. Really good for red carpet, bridal, prom, whatever you want to, you can take it anyway, depending on the finish, is like we've been talking about through here, of like, you know, doing more traditional wave with it, having it slightly more looser, deconstructed, etc. Let's get into this. So we're just going to use tools for the job. A Unite teasing brush. I've got print brush, which is a Japanese brush that is shaped like the head shape. It's got curvature to it. Very, very, it's really, really good brush to be using. I might use a large tooth comb, as this one, pick comb, very, very important. And obviously our dressing brushes. So from this, we start off from our parting. We are going to just take that, section that all the way off, and I'll section it first and then show you how much we've got rid of. It's taken on a radial parting from the top of the head to behind the ear, and I'll show you that. Any questions or anything else, Mike, coming down the pipe?
Nothing new coming in.
No hellos from anywhere?
A couple new people joining up, so maybe I just want to give them a quick recap of what we're doing here.
Okay, yeah, we're doing Oscars, we're doing Rita Ora, we're doing the wonderful Leaper, and where's that picture gone? What have I done with it, idiot? Why? No?
Right there.
Have I lost it? Oh, here it is. There we go. Go back to the imagery. Rita Ora. We're doing a Leaper. Beautiful bit of texture. And then we have this one. I believe she's a model.
She's from Euphoria, the HBO show.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Hunter Schafer. There you go. She's not a model. Hunter Schafer. That was it. Fantastic. What's it called?
Euphoria.
Euphoria. All right. Very high fashion look. That's a bonus look. That's the three. So we've done the traditional Rita first off, and we're now going in to change that up. So radial section, top of the head, behind the ear. That's all sectioned out of the way. We then come round to the side, and then we start through here, just a little bit of teasing, working from the front to the back of the head. Why do we do that? Because you are working on that direction. And as you can see through here, I am working what I call behind the hair. So I'm not working in front, because the hair is coming back this way. I'm not creating body on this. I'm creating a tooth for the hair to be worked with, and subsequent any pins that need to go in there. You'll probably think I'd brush it all out in a second, but as you can see through here, it makes the hair moldable and easier to work with. It's something that, as I say, I watched my mother do this for years. You know, on all the smooth styles, etc. They would tease everything just to change the nature of the hair and what I call the fabric of the hair. Very, very important. You always want to change the fabric of the hair to something that you want and that you can work with. It's very, very important. Now, as I come to this side, through that side, obviously I'm changing where I'm doing the teasing. I'm putting it in for last two sections on the other side. Now we've made the hair stand up a little bit. It's great. I can walk away from it, it's not going to drop. I come back in, I switch over to a bit of Le Play, dust the brush, takes away static. Very, very important. We come back to that other side of the hair again. Do you want me to move that mannequin up a little bit, Mike?
Go for it, yeah. You can do that.
I might do that. There we go. So I'm pulling this back, and you can see where my hand placement at this time is very, very important. Where my left hand, maybe the right hand to you on the camera, is direction of where I'm pulling that hair. It's back, straight back on the sides, and then it starts going down to the hairline through here. My hand placement has control of it, and it's now locked it in at the base of the hairline. See through here? This little finger under here has locked the hair, really grabbed it, really locked it in. I'm going to use quite a generous grip we're going to slide those in. You can crisscross these, do whatever you like. I just like to overlap them, depending on how good they are. If I don't get them right, first off, I don't panic. I just come back in, do another one next to it, and just keep going. Here we go. That's wavy side down as well, flat side up. By which point I should have this nicely locked in, and I could, if so wish, stand away from it. The last one comes over the top, and then we have a nice smooth satin surface.
Michael's got another question for you.
Yep.
How does the hair density influence this look? How would the technique or approach be adjusted for a client with thin hair?
Thin hair?
Or thick hair, depending on...
Yeah,
the
simple. Okay, if the hair's that fine, what are you going to do? I'm going to find some hair pieces, not padding. Okay, you're always going to increase it. It's not a problem. It's so easy to add hair in for red carpet effects, you know, padding like this, etc. If I haven't got enough hair back here, I can use that to put in, and then that hair wraps around it accordingly. It's done. Simple. You know, I find that so easy working with fine hair, because the person with fine hair is always going to think, oh, I can't wear it because I haven't got the hair density for it. You can cheat. Now then, if you've got the reverse, you've got hair that is just too thick, what do? Well, we go back to that classic technique that we do at Fashion Week. If the hair is that thick, what is my number one technique for removing it? What is the one that is always used universally? We do some scalp braids in some certain positions. On this one, I could do a couple vertically down the head. It eradicates the density of the hair. You could do on this side, maybe coming back, fine ones inside the internal part of it. So you use braiding not only as a tool to style, but also as fixing points for things like, you know, potentially hair pieces, wigs, etc., but also to remove density in hair, very important. So anyone who wants to work backstage, do photographic work, your scalp braiding has to be on point, purely because you will need it in so many different applications. It's the simplest way of removing the density of hair if the hair's too thick. You can blow dry it out, you can try and flatten it a little bit with an iron. You're going to get so far with that. If there's moisture in the air, the hair is then going to come back into it and it's going to explode again. You've got a scalp braid in, that hair's going nowhere. Hopefully that answered your question, Michael. So I come back to the hair that I've left out and I will brush that through. Let's have a look at that. Mannequins haven't, you know, this has got a fair bit of hair, but we've already eradicated that, and I've created now a nice dressed piece through here. Now we've still got all those pins in the back of the head, not very pretty, as we can see through here. How do we eradicate those? Quite simpler. I'm suddenly getting more and more French as the class is going on. Ah, le pin. Right, we subdivide this off. We've now got radial profile section through here, little square section that's come off there. I'm going to take a piece from the top crown area. As you can see through that, how dense is that? We can see thumb width, okay, it's about 1 inch thick. What happens with that? It's quite simple. I'll show you this way. I do a little bit of teasing on here, a little bit of spray. Once again, we always go for the artistic little squirt and spray look. I just then take that, wrap that straight down where the pins were, and guess what? They've all gone. Et voila. I then hook that bit of hair, if it's that long, I'm going to just pull this round. I then hook that hair, it comes all the way up, so it's now securing this, it's keeping that in place. I can then secure that underneath the very beginning of that section, one little grip. So this is where sort of you're being smarter. You're not having to worry about 300 pins and then coating the hair in copious amounts of hairspray to keep hold of things, to place it. We've now got that covered adequately. Hopefully that mic's going to show that. The hair looks dressed. Beautiful. Now, as a little bonus piece, you see how the hair is now turning over that way. Well, it's quite simple. You carry on with that curl, that fold. You take some of that, so you come with the hair, and you go against the hair, and that pops into the back through there. I'll do that one again. Go with the hair, against the hair, pop it in. You're then creating a perfect mask for the back. Can't see anything. And it allows you then what I call, this is a beautiful place then to put in any hair furniture, flowers, diamonds, anything else like that can all go in there. You can stick a veil if it's a bride, smack on the top. We're talking about Oscars though, so they may be wearing something diamante, etc. And then we come back into this. And I think this, going back to that question, Michael, about working on density of hair, yeah, really important. This gets rid of hair with great density. You know, I've done this a couple of times and used both sides and taken them back because sometimes you're only after the detail and showing a certain amount. So we come back to that side piece, really where it all began. I'm just going to loosen that up. That underneath is just purely a foundation for the top. This is where we're going to see all of that finished look. Hey, she's going for a holiday. Let me just give her a headache. There we go. So from here, I'm going to subdivide that off. I'm going to tease just that a little bit. 3 sections. We're working at show speed now, people. Here we go. I just brush the hair through, and sometimes just have a look what it gives you. I think it's really important to have a look at what it's feeding you. Don't fight it. Let's see what we have. We may want a few little cursory flyaways, we might not. But they are easily dealt with because you have wound the hair up accordingly. There's no need to panic. You don't have to come back in here with a brush. Just using the tip of your teasing brush. Dust some hairspray over that. I'll show you, if you so wish, your option. Obviously you're the hairstylist. You literally just come in and you just work over the top of those, and guess what? They all start disappearing. So then I can start detailing this accordingly. I want that to pinch in. We come in, we use a slide grip. I come back in through here. And voila. And we just carry on working down accordingly till we get right the way through to the ends. And then pop that in. A little bit of hairspray. You let that sit. 10 minutes, take it out. We haven't got time to wait around for 10 minutes. And we've got that. If they are, so they want it a little bit looser, a little bit texture, no need to panic. Come straight back in, tip of your brush, just release it a little bit. And now brushing the whole piece as one. You know what I'm going to do? Just for effect, I'm going to pull some of that out. So argument's sake, the hair is a little too thick. Very simple. Come back in to where some density is. I'm not going to go back to reference Michael producing this. You can cheat by coming in underneath certain areas on the ear maybe. Pre-grip that in place. You pull the top section over the top. That just helps it sit away from the face slightly. Got a small piece coming out. Emphasises cheekbone, jaw. So you can see how that's kissing around the cheekbone, comes down into the jaw. Always a really nice, subtle piece. And let's have a look. Well, then we will always have a look from, move right away from the client, have a look, you know, 3 feet away from distance of your silhouette, and have a look to see if you need to improve balance. So I'm working on that part, so I then have more balance through here. I could pinch that in here because it's a heart shape. It always looks way more pleasing to the eye, should we say. We follow the head shape round, flatten that out, pull that back and secure with pins, etc. Red carpet hair, done very, very simply, all inspired by Rita Ora. There we go. I love you can just carry on playing with that.
Michael's interested in learning the Lady Gaga's updo from the Grammys. You want me to pull a photo?
It's short. It's short hair, isn't it? Yeah, very. It's simple because that's been preset and then it's just been dressed into little folds. There is something that relates to that on one of the education looks we've done. So I've done some like curled up hair with Anna. So you put it up. I can explain that one more. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's classic. That's like 1950s hair up. It's really, it's very simplistic. So, you know, maybe we'll do some of that on a future live. This is where it's important to send these requests through. You know, that's all about dressing hair. And I will probably do a series of that for our Unite Hair TV, the art of hairdressing. I think that's,
I like it.
because then we can do like big beehives. This is all incorporated, but you can see through here, look, this is red carpet. You put this on. This is like really important when you have clients in the chair and you're doing consultations. If this works, if she's got a dress on with a shoulder strap here, so like a one-sided dress, I don't know, you can't remember what you call it, but if the strap comes from here, comes up over this shoulder, this hair then cascades down the other side, it's not interrupting the other. There isn't another strap that side, so it looks more flattering. Of course, if the strap was this side, you flip it on the other side. So this is where your consultation about what they're wearing becomes more important. That you are dressing, you're doing the hairstyle for what they're wearing, not doing a hairstyle and hoping it matches everything else. It's there as a compliment. It's not a hairdressing competition. It is there just purely, you have to look at it from head to toe, that it all matches all completely in. And that's one thing I always used to do is like, number one thing when I had a bride in, show me the picture of your dress and we'll go down that line. Right, that's enough of that.
Shannon Slingerland joining us.
Hi,
Saying
Shannon.
hi.
About
Sorry
time.
she's late.
You're late, get out. Right, Leap. This is, as I said, my favourite look. It's very, very quick what I'm going to do. Anyway, well, reasonably quick, I think, maybe not.
Oh, Michael's got one for you.
Oh, another one.
Just
Come on.
redo the hair from the entire Broadway show of Hairspray, haha.
Mate, you want to pay me for it, I'll do it. Okay, here we go. What's this? Let's have a little close-up on that. The textures on this. When you have a look at this and break it down, what have we got? We basically have a lot of beautifully textured fishtail braids of different sizes. So, anyone from the UK, we all used to watch a program called Blue Peter growing up, and they always used to do, or all two good TV chefs, always say, and here's one I did earlier. So, here you go. Here's one I did earlier. And I've got one on the other side to show you how to do it. And I would be using this type of section. I'm going to pull this up, Mike, don't you worry. I'll make the work easier for you. So we've got Yaki Hair here. Yaki Hair being hair that is, it's just like plastic. I don't know if it's nylon or whatever. It's just plastic hair. It's really inexpensive. A few dollars buys you a pack of it. And we will pull this up. And you know, the things like hairspray, that is, you know, a load of it is wigs. It's all pre-done wigs. Because if you are working on a Broadway show, hair's got to look the same every night, maybe 2 matinee show a weekend, going to be wigs. So you're pre-doing wigs, you become a fantastic wig operator. And I know someone in the UK, that's all they used to do, and they become a very, very successful international hairdresser, and that's from their background. So what have we got through here? Let's have a look at this. So we've got all the twists and the texture in there, just like she would have on her hairstyle. And this all depends on the actual hair type that you are choosing. So this has got a much more of a smoother density to what she has on her hair, but I would be choosing that accordingly, depending on what I need. But I put extra texture into this. We've now got flyaways, we've got flatter pieces, it's skinnier in areas and fatter in areas, so when it goes up on the hair, it's freestanding and it will stand off on the head, and I'll show you how we attach that. It's very, very simple to do, but working with this plastic nylon-y hair, it does have a natural texture to it as well. How do we do the fishtail braid on it? First off, I like to prep it, and I've got a combination of what I want to use prep-wise. One of my go-tos, either a bit of 7 seconds glossing spray, or my favourite go-to with any artificial hair now, or even real hair extensions, U-Dry Fresh. I want you to see how much I'm using, just to make the hair controllable. That's all I'm doing it for. It's not going to destroy the texture on it, and I'm going to put that back in there anyway in a second. Split the hair in half, and we start putting in our fishtail braid. Fishtail braids, extremely simple. They're just the wrapping technique from sections underneath, and I'm going to vary the density in size section we do with this. The combinations of the spray putting in there, what does that do? It just makes the hair way more workable and just a little bit more precise in our fingers, because this hair has a terrible habit of separating viciously while you're working on it, or getting caught up if you're wearing a lot of rings. I've taken all mine off today. It will just always get caught up on your rings, and before you know it, you've lost all the detail, what you're trying to put into the hair at the beginning anyway. So I'm going to, as this starts taking shape, you will see it form. All I'm doing at the moment is paying particular attention to the density from side to side of the hair. So as I'm putting the braid in, I might take more from one side to put it back in the other side that it needs it. And consequently, what does that do? Well, that then changes the actual size of the braid as we're doing it as well. We want that to have sort of like the different densities, etc., just like hers in the pictures.
I'll pop off the tripod so we can get a closer look at this stuff.
Oh, Mike's coming up for close-ups.
Bear with me here, folks. There we go.
Mike and his magic thumbs is coming along. Most people know how to do fishtail braids, and it literally is always the section underneath, wrapped over to the other side, taken underneath. But what happens is with this hair is that you find it starts catching a little bit. So we just dust it. A bit of U-Dry Fresh. Give it a little brush through. Make sure all the hairs joined together. We come back in. And you don't have to be overly precise with this, purely because we are going to sort of doctor this up a little bit when we've done. So I'm going to keep progressing on this. You could use, and I've done it before, things like conundrum paste on this. Works really, really well on this type of hair. It just adds like that sort of like a dreadlooky type feel to it. There's no problem using that. I really like it. But as I say, no exact science. All I'm doing is as I pull the hair over, I'm just making sure it just stays nice and neat as I'm working down the hair. As I said, working on this Yaki hair, this nylon hair, it has a tendency, it just wants to grab onto anything and separate. So keeping your fingers up close to the braid just keeps it into control. Now look, I'm just checking the density of this, and this feels a little bit thicker than the other side, so I'm going to use less hair from this side on this piece and take a little bit more on that side, put that back. There we go, and it starts locking that in. Oh, you can see, look, there's the fishtail. Mike will zoom in on that. You getting a good picture of that, Mike?
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty much it for now. This won't be long. We'll be through this, and I think this works great on so many different levels. And the key to it is not just about this and creating the textures of those fishtails that she's got in, it's the structure that you create afterwards when they go on the head. And that once again becomes really, really important, is that silhouette is what defines that hairstyle shape, and that's where you've got to work on it a lot. And this might have been done to some extensions that she's already got in the hair. Might be a lot of it might be her own. I've never had the pleasure of working on her, so I don't know. It's just my interpretation of it, of favourite looks from there. I just thought this was a standout for me. It just looks powerful. Not because she was sitting behind Will Smith at the time either, and he got a lot of camera time, but I just actually liked it. If I come stand out of the way, you can see it better that way. We don't need to address the Will Smith issue anyway. Everyone else has done that. I actually felt a bit sorry for the guy. You don't know what mental state of mind he's in at the moment, so never judge a man whose shoes we're not standing in, hey? So that's my view on it. Plenty of people in the world I'd like to have given a slap to recently. Maybe a Russian gentleman. Oh, controversial. He needs one. As you say, far more important things going on in the world than worrying about one guy giving another fella a slap on the cheek. Handbags, we call that in the UK. Handbags at dawn. See worse on a rugby pitch on a Saturday afternoon. So we're just working down to the base of the hair, and this is where you can keep throwing in texture now as you're getting down to that bottom. There's twists in the hair. You say that's great. We want all of that. Those idiosyncrasies of it being in there. So that changes where sometimes where I've pulled the hair really tight, and that will force it to come over. And then sometimes I've taken the tension off, and you're doing all of that very subconsciously, as opposed to trying to make it a uniform braid that sits flat and neat all the way down, because hers has all those little idiosyncrasies in there. It shows all those natural textures in there, and sometimes putting in, say, a little bit of wax into it, etc., depending on the hair type you're working on, really can aid that. And that's where our conundrum, I think, works really, really well, depending purely on the hair type you're working on. Depending on how textured it is, how smooth it is.
Getting lots of laughs over your current affairs commentary.
Laughs?
Yeah, and the shop talk begins, Michael's saying.
Oh, we could go on for hours with it. I should be on CNN or somewhere like that. But Slava Ukraine, that's what I say. It's very dear to our hearts in here. Our house model, Anna, is Ukrainian, so yeah, it means a lot. I'm going to finish that up with a little twist. I'll put a little bit of elastic on there. I'm sure I can find one. And this is where our little bit of fun starts. If I can find the elastic, it's in the pins. This is where Mike, the cameraman, just watches me fumble with one hand over finding an elastic.
I'm sharing with everyone.
Sharing and caring, eh? Yeah. I'll burn him on his fingers in Miami with a hot iron.
I don't doubt it.
And that snaps, fantastic. There we go, find a black one. That's better. There you go, you know it's real when it's in real time when the elastics snap. So I don't like them, that's why I use fabric elastic. Counteracts that, and let's put that into a there. Right, how do we change this up? It's very, very simple. I'm going to come in with a bit of Le Play. You have to use a bit of hairspray because it's heat protection, otherwise this stuff just melts like crazy. So we need a little bit of it. We put the iron on. I'm not going to turn this up to the max. I'm going to turn it down to, let's go 265. That's, you know, just over halfway. And then we just come in and I start flattening it on the braid. We flatten that up, we increase the twists on there. Check the heat, that's running just slightly warm, so that's fine. So it's not burning it, otherwise you would see, because it's plastic, it would just melt. But it's just making that easier to compact it in areas, because hers is, you know, it has that sort of flatness to it, which is really nice. But, you know, just so you've got some nice twists in that now. You see through here. It's not uniform, doesn't lay dead flat, which is what we don't want. I'm going to pull the picture back up because I think it's very important we're using that as a reference. Can you zoom in on there? As you can see through here, it's got some dents, indentations, etc. Skinny, fat, you know, some of it is really, really tight, which is really, really nice. So once again, depending how much you want to detail it, it's entirely up to you. Speed-wise, I want you to go flatter. So now my fun starts. I then start coming in certain areas, really pulling this apart a little bit, so it creates more texture and then more twist.
Amy Nuala Hair. I apologize if I butchered your last name there, Amy. Just really digging the Unite straightener.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's one of the best out there. It's got some. It just gets so great to the root base. I think they're gold dust now, isn't it? We haven't got any left.
Nope, we are fresh out.
Fresh out. So we're creating some nice texture. A little bit more hairspray. Come back in with the iron. Flatten out, which we've just pulled apart. We really want to make sure we flatten that out. Okay, I can then grab an important little tool. I'm going to use a little barbering brush here now. And I just come back in and I just rub that up and down both sides of the braid. And there I have some nice texture to it. Right, let's pull this into a ponytail quickly. This will be just a very, very quick interpretation. So I haven't got only 45 braids, but argument's sake, we have done our own hair. I'm just removing the bulk of this mic just to take it out of the way so you just get the effect of it. Here we go. Twist that up onto the top, secure that. So you could have braided all the natural hair as well, or I would suggest you take it up to a top ponytail, top of the head, and you throw a couple of braids of that just to eradicate it. Rita Ora's disappearing before our very eyes. Okay, so we've got some padding, similar sort of colour. That is going to sit on the top, nice and tight. And you're just very, very quick with that. How do you put the pins in? Once again, you go with the hair, against the hair, fire them in. With the hair, against the hair, fire them in. All right. So and that just really does secure it. And you can see even though the size of that padding was quite large, when you put the grips in accordingly, it really reduces it size-wise. We take our pre-done braids, we're going to secure those down near the root base. The padding can sit over the top, and then consequently we would then find forms, etc., and you're going to lock them in. So where I'm going to lock them in, I'm going to come underneath that root base, pop that in there. I'm going to work that one into another one, work it across. And obviously you can imagine if I have got a lot of these, I just work them up until my silhouette looks amazing. And that is how I would build up my interpretation of the wonderful hairstyle that actress applied for the Oscars.
Got a looking really cool from Amy Noula. Thank you for correcting me there, and also for letting me get away with that, Amy.
So very, very simple. Fishtail braids sitting on the top. The more you just create of those, I would wrap it around and create this fantastic crescendo. This has actually been done. We did a variation on this for Fashion Week a few seasons ago. You can go on to my Unite account. It's Gary Baker Unite, and you will see it on there where I've actually used wire and created more of a bird cage effect with this. It almost sat on the hair like a crown. It was a little bit more see-through, but it's very, very similar. We used baby fine wire in that, wrapped in the braids, so they would have this really ornate shape on there. And it's for a designer called Phoenix Bar. If you go onto the account, you can have a look at it on there. It's a variation on it we did a couple of seasons ago. So all of this is all very relevant because it gets used quite a lot and gets pulled around and used time again. It's just different variations on there. So there's two of our hairstyles done, and we want to go on to the last one now, and it was the actress Hunter Schafer from the series
Euphoria on HBO.
Euphoria. Mike's obviously a big watcher of Euphoria.
That's a great show, yeah.
Great show. There you go.
Zendaya's show.
Is it?
Yeah.
She's in that as well.
Yeah.
She's in absolutely. Between her and Timothy Chalamet,
Yeah.
they've literally just made everything. I mean, Dune is visually
Epic.
phenomenal film.
Yeah.
Have you watched it?
I did watch it.
It's stunning visually. It's fantastic, beautiful,
Beautifully made.
beautiful. Yeah. I mean, you know, hairdressers, we love anything like that. Clothing, styling. Yeah. I mean, I think he's just brilliant. He's the modern day Leonardo DiCaprio, would you not say?
Yeah.
I mean, he's just, the film he done of The King.
Picking good movies for sure.
Oh, he's just like, you know, just whatever he likes. Yeah, just fantastic. So yeah, Dune, definitely out there. Well, I've watched it a couple of times. I just watch it because it's visual, and I'm just gutted. It's going to be ages before we see the next one. So let's get rid of that wonderful curling we put in the hair. Now this hair's had a lot of abuse. Sometimes when you curl the hair accordingly, it doesn't actually disappear, but it actually starts to look better and better. And I've always said this, we do this on our shoots all the time, especially when we're using Anna. A lot of time we've done 3 or 4 looks on her, and then we just shake it out, and it's like the best look of the day. And this is like, you know, editorial hair at its finest. There you go. Sometimes just leave it alone, don't do a lot, and a couple of grips in there just to take away the visual. We just slide that one in behind the ear, and that pops in through here, so that just takes it away from the cheekbone. Always a nice way to do that. Instantly visually better. And the same, so if the hair's really, really thick, come underneath, pull that one through here, and let that one, let me just show you this. So the way that the hair's very, very thick through here, the person's always going to want to be doing this behind their ear. Well, if you do that for them, so if you take like a section from recession down behind the ear, tuck that out of the way, just like we did before, it suddenly debulks that side, and visually it just suddenly looks a lot better. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this beautiful little inspired. Well, look how we're doing time-wise, or it doesn't really matter anyway.
We're well over, so keep on going.
Well, I'm just keeping going today. We're on overtime. Union says we're allowed to do it today. Right, okay. Go 365 hairspray. Goes in the pocket. As we like to say back in London, in my skyrocket. Now everyone's thinking, what are you talking about? Skyrocket is your pocket. When you come from the UK, over in where I come from.
Michael, keeping the combo going here. Speaking of shoots, did you guys catch NAHA, the North American Hairstyling Awards last night?
No. I'm pretty much over that side of hairdressing now. I think they've become too much like Photoshop competitions, depending on the photographers. And it's moved away from doing the actual real hair. I'd like to see the hair done live. Yeah, that's just my personal view. You know, when you've seen it for like so long and done so many of them, participated in them. Obviously in the UK, I've done a huge amount. Yeah, you're just looking for something different, I suppose. But it's all relevant for everyone's career. Have a go at it by all means, because at some point in your hair, at some point in your career, you just want to do some crazy hair that doesn't fit in with anything. And then sometimes you want to do something that's quite sensible. So yeah, it's really important. The colour competitions, we've done all of that, done the L'Oreal, Weller, and Goldwell, etc. I've done all of those, and it was really important stage of my career to do those. Would I continue? I look at them now on social media out of interest, but I'm not sort of bonkers about them anymore. So, nice bit of heat. So combination, go 365. And what you're doing, you're getting this to hug the top of the head, just like it would do if it's been made soaking wet. But you have to come through in increments, small increments. You grab hold of the hair, you grip it where you need it. You come in with your hairspray. So the first pass is what I call like fixing the hair. Okay, you're joining it to the section before and you're fixing that in. We're going to detail this in the front, just like a picture, and we're going to switch out the combination of product for that. Once you've fixed it, you come back in, you do another pass, and that really does create your glossy finish. But you can see the tension of the hair on the hair becomes really relevant. You're controlling it. Working the hairdryer, the direction of the hair, not at the hair, you work it with, pass it down so you don't burn the client, model, etc. Abby, would you mind getting me some Session Max and a bit of Smooth and Shine?
Michael's saying thank you for sharing your perspective and your experience on the NAHA here.
No, it's fine. I mean, as I say, I think everyone should have a little crack at it, see if you like it. You may love that sort of thing. NAHA wasn't something I've obviously seen, we used to see it in the UK a lot. The British Hairdressing Awards is what I used to work in with people I've worked with before, and they are a little bit more intensive. You have to, if you get through, you initially submit 4 pictures, and then it goes up to 8 if you're a finalist, whereas NAHA you only have to do 3. So yeah, ours were like giant shoots. Especially the guy I used to work with, Jamie, used to knock out 4 or 5 different collections all on one day. We had like 20 odd models in the place. It was, the whole team would be working on it. And it's never a one person event. You do need a team of people to really make it successful. The makeup artist, the photographer, everyone has got to see your vision and bring it together. So we fix the hair in place, we come in with a hairdryer. I think my take on it as well with stuff like the hair competitions as well, it's a really important creative process for hairdressers. But what I find hard is it doesn't relate to the outside world as well. You don't find outside press is really that interested in it because the images just scare the public. So the creative people like ourselves, we love them and you can really appreciate the work that goes into them. But then, you know, if you go to the popular press as it were, they're just not interested. And, you know, people win these awards and no one hears about them apart from the actual hairdressers. So it's almost like, you know, it's great for your peers and all the rest of it. But it's one of those, I just wish it would have a greater appeal to the outside world maybe. So we get to the final detailing pieces. So what I'm going to work through on here, I'm going to take some of this out. Small amount. And just pop out some of that. There we go. Really working that tension. Right, I'm going to fix that on. Put the actual spray in my pocket. Duckbill clip, always important. Okay, fix that. Now we come in, different type of product. We're going to use a bit of Smooth and Shine. Quantity. And that's liberally coated all the way down, roots to, you know, pretty close to mid-length. Just work it all the way through. Put that behind her ear. Going to secure that piece and just doing this for effect. Stays nicely in. Okay, we have a nice bit of Smooth and Shine on the hair. Use a little bit more fingertips. Just work it through. It's not going to stay there. We come back in with some Session Max, our strongest hairspray. Working really, really closely on the hair. So this is something that, you know, is really going to be relevant probably for Miami, purely because, you know, chances are we're going to do some wet looks at some point. And the class I'm going to do in Miami is I'm probably going to make it more demo based, where I'm going to do a lot of demos all relating to how we use the product, how to create finished looks, because it's going to be product heavy, and understanding how we use that. And then we would just use a diffuser on those. I'll let them sit. And I've got options how we could freeze these in. We could use tape, grips, pins, but my go-to, Barber's Crepe paper. I do like using the black colour. The Barber's Crepe would then sit accordingly, wrap that on the model, and that sits while they're in makeup. And that creates an absolutely solidified wet look, beautiful sheen. You can see through here. Mike's amazing camera work. So combinations of Go 365 to create a slick look. It's all like an optical illusion. Hopefully you can see it through here. And then to finish detailing wise, we used Smooth and Shine and Session Max at the beginning, at the end, just for our details in the front, so we know that's going to freeze it in. I can use other products as well, but I just thought it was important for this, the way it sits in the photograph through here, where she has little bits of separation, sits close to the head, etc., and it's drier on the ends. That would be my go-to. That would be my go-to for the look. So that's highly relevant. So let's have a little recap of what we've done. The Rita Ora, Looper, what was her name? Hunter Schaefer. So our next live is April the 20th, 10 AM, and it's Music Festival, because obviously Coachella's on, which is in my back door. And I'm going to have a guest artist with me on that one. Alison's coming in, Ali. She's going to come in. She'll be doing all the work. I'm just going to talk to her. It'd be nice to have a break. This is recorded. It's uploaded to Unite Hair TV. It's under the live replay tab. And please follow us if you're new to this. Follow us on Unite_Hair TV. And any questions, send them through to unitetv@unitehair.com. Remember that one, unitetv@unitehair.com. Anyone interested in coming to the shows, register your interest at classrequests@unitehair.com. And I will see you all on the 20th. Thanks again.